Okay. We're live, supposedly. Yeah, dude, it's so sick you're drinking red wine because I remember, it's very Perry Farrellish because I remember some interview in Spin, like right before they broke up that I read when I was 10. And it was like, it was just talking about him drinking a bottle of red wine on stage while they opened with
I
Up the
know.
Beach,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was just like, dude, can you imagine? Like, I wish, God, imagine. You never saw them when you were a kid, did you?
But I didn't see them when I was a kid, but I saw them on their first reunion.
Oh,
And I
cool.
have a horrible story about it. If you want to, if you want to jump right into it.
Well, I know. See, this is the thing. Usually I do, should we jump right in? Because usually I do this long ass preamble,
Yeah.
like to build up before I even add I think you're the first person that we just dropped in with us both.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like, our illustrious guest, the blah, blah, blah. Um, but let's see. Senum says he never got into Jane's Addiction. Yo, I think I'm gonna Perry pill you guys. Oh, turn up the volume. Okay, good. Thank you. This is good feedback here.
Whose volume? Where are we reading?
My volume. This is
Okay.
just I'm getting advice here.
Okay.
Um, how is that sounding? Is that good? Is that good? Oh, sick. We got Aniket up in the house. Vivian. Oh, damn. Jeremiah. All right. All right. Yeah. Anyone, just let me know if our volumes are like not really. What's up, Juan? If our volumes are like not really matched or whatever. Um, it's funny. I had these dogs. They're these dogs that I really hope don't start going buck wild. But like our the neighbors right next door have they keep 5 German shepherds in this tiny ass yard. It's just like absolute just garbage behavior. But they were barking and it sounded like exactly like the been caught stealing dogs. And I was like, this would kind of, they only did it for the beginning, it would be kind of appropriate.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, so, all right. So, welcome to this. Yeah, we can just get right into it. Welcome to the Last Things live stream. You're all pumped. Toby Driver. It's been a
Hello.
long time coming.
Hi.
And
Thanks for checking it out. I
yeah,
see some of my friends in there.
definitely. No,
Yeah.
people were bummed when we had to reschedule. So, I'm glad we're doing it. And I was so hyped that I didn't necessarily know that you were like this, like super Jane's head, but then once I brought it up, I was like, this makes total sense. This is going to be the best shit. So,
Ah. All right. Yeah. Where to begin?
well, what was that story? You said you had a like an awful story or crazy story of when you saw the reunion.
Yeah, but
Like,
I want to say one thing first before I tell that story.
okay,
It's funny that you said that you didn't know that about me, because it's such an important part of my musical background
yeah,
that it's I mean, of course I don't know why I would assume that people would know this, but I used to just have this I had 2 Jane's Addiction shirts that I wore almost every day. So there's a lot of old tour photos of me wearing them. And I was in a Jane's Addiction cover band in high school.
oh damn, you went
And
deep.
yeah. And I have a million stories, but the one relevant thing that I wanted to say first was that years ago, it was like probably 2010 or something like that. Kurt Gottschalk did a show. He had a show on WFMU. I don't know if you remember that, but he did one special episode that was called "The Greatest Song of All Time," and he reached out to a bunch of musicians and said, "Can you please submit what you think is the greatest song of all time, and I'll play
Wow,
it on my radio show." And then the show will just consist of all of the greatest songs of all time. I submitted 3 days, and
nice.
then when he broadcast it, he his little preamble to playing 3 days, he was like, "Okay, this one was submitted by Toby Driver." And then he goes, "I don't like Jane's Addiction, but I could see why Toby Driver likes Jane's Addiction. I can hear that."
Man,
And it's kind of like, well, I'm not offended by that, because basically every single song I've ever written for my band has tried to just be 3 days.
to just be 3 days. No, no, totally,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why did he have to nag? I like Kurt a lot, so I'm not gonna, that doesn't
I don't.
that doesn't make me mad.
I He obviously never listened to it.
Yeah. I mean, people don't like. Well, no, it's not that people don't like Jane's Addiction, but they kind of I think. Well, I think I was obsessed with them from like age like 10 when I first heard them up until like 14-ish. And then I never started thinking they were bad or anything, but I just completely lost track. I just sort of forgot about them because like I don't know, getting into like cool indie rock and punk, being into like what was cool then, but now is cringe. But, to me, I don't know. But like getting into like Fugazi or Sonic Youth or this kind of thing, or even like New York hardcore or tougher stuff, it was like from that point of view, Jane's would be cheesy,
Oh, really?
well, not for, but from those people like that cult, don't you think it's kind of like they'd be like, oh, that's like Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's who also
it's
low
weird.
key don't suck, but
It's weird because Jane's Addiction had that kind of like LA surf element. Um, same as like Red Hot Chili Peppers did. It's like surf music in a way, but they're also kind of a goth band.
They are.
And if you were somebody that was into spooky shit, Jane's Addiction was super super cool because do you remember in the movie The Gift? You've probably seen it, I assume.
Yeah, but it's been a long time since I've saw that. Yeah.
So there's this one moment when Perry's like describing his music and he's kind of like, he says something like, it's like Bauhaus meets like,
he says it's Bad Brains meets Duke Ellington.
But he also specifically says Bauhaus.
Oh, does he?
And so that just kind of means that he was like really really aware of the kind of like goth element,
No, for sure he was. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, who I didn't even know back then, but who I got into kind of later, or who I got into later than most people would get into this band is Christian Death, who we talked about. We were possibly going to discuss Only Theater of Pain on this, and then when I got into Christian Death, like in my 20s, weirdly, just like I was kind of like, what does this remind me of? Okay, they're from LA. Like, what is it that's so LA about this? And I was like, that's it, Jane's. Like that song Cavity, like, or that's like total like Stephen Perkins type drums and stuff. I think that's a big.
I got to run through it in my head. Maybe I could see some threads that kind of go together. Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's because it's like gothy, but it's like rock and roll. Like it's not like
right.
I don't know. It's not like Victorian goth style. There was some goth club I went to in some other town. I can't remember where this was, but they had multiple rooms for each like type of goth. There was like the Victorian like frilly goth thing, and then like the Rivethead industrial goth, and then you know what I'm saying? And then the like sort of death rock.
Why do they gotta segregate that shit, man?
Yeah, I know. Everything's gotta like, I know, it's so silly. But they're like the rock and roll side.
Yeah.
Right? Of the goth, the goths that fuck, or whatever.
Yeah, and like, I mean, they definitely would, like you said, the bottle of red wine on stage, which is pretty goth, and like lacy fingerless gloves and stuff,
I mean, they're a very romantic band. Like, I mean, goth is romantic, obviously, in general, but like, they're
and what a weird style. It was like lots of heavy eyeliner and dreadlocks at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, like all like three guys, and I think all of them had dreadlocks at a time.
Yeah, totally.
All of them.
Why is that a problem? Whatever, let's not. But it's like I still actually think that that's totally chill, but like whatever.
Yeah, especially you combine it with heavy eyeliner, and you're just like,
right.
Weird LA surf. You're a surfer, but you have like eyeliner on. It's like, how do you go in the water? I don't.
Right. Yeah. He does. I mean, Perry does like explicitly have this vibe with like black people, or what he thinks of black. I mean, he's very, that is kind of a thing with him. It's not like some, like,
yeah. Yeah, you remember like when he does that song with Ice-T at the end of
yeah.
It like, yeah, I mean like he's definitely got like some kind of relationship that I can't put my finger on.
Well, it's I mean, well, you know that like what's it called? Well, he says in that beginning, in that essay in the thing, he's like, I used to wish I were a black man or whatever. You know, they know pain, etc. Like, it's like that kind of it's that kind of beatnik. He reminds me of like the Beats. Like it's like a beatnik vibe of like where it's that kind of anti-racism or pro-blackness where it wasn't considered cringe, or maybe black people consider it cringe, but where people would just be like, yeah, man, like I want to be down with their like, you know, they're cool, man. They've got the magic flavor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was like
Mhm.
considered like that Norman Mailer, like white Negro shit. Like
Mhm.
it's like fetishizing and or would be considered now, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
fetishizing or disrespectful, but it's like, you know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I'm thinking about Patti Smith in particular.
Yes.
She has a song where she uses an N word,
Yeah.
and I know that like Philip, my friend drummer in Kayo Dot, he has a really big problem with that,
Yeah. He's not
and
into it. Yeah.
so I think if she would probably be akin to like all those people you're talking about, like people that tried to be like the Beats and tried
Yeah.
to be down and everything like that, and I guess it's just not cool. You know?
Well, yeah.
I'm curious about Perry Farrell and like all the stuff that he said and like whether like it's people talk about it. I mean, he uses an N word in a
Yeah.
song, and like he's got that one song on Pointer for Pyros called Black Girlfriend. And
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and the
Yeah.
lyrics are, ever since the riots, all I really wanted was a black girlfriend. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, they don't play around. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like he wants this like, you know, no nonsense fucking, you know, like
Yeah.
yeah, like but see like yeah, like that's the but it's very like child. I don't know. I believe I buy Perry's innocence in that regard more than I buy Patti Smith's innocence. I don't know why. Somehow that seems a little bit with Perry. It's like, oh man, you want to be black? Like, hey man, you know. Whereas like with Patti Smith, it's like, dude, shut up, man. Like, you know, I don't know why, but maybe I don't really know Patti
I,
Smith.
I don't know, man.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't really know, but it's like that kind of like, but just like that kind. It's like a point of view that like doesn't exist anymore. You know what I mean? Like nobody says that kind of stuff.
right.
Like, man, I wish I were black, dude. They're so cool. Like nobody is saying that. Like, so I
I,
don't know. There's something kind of cool about Barry. I don't know. Maybe it's insulting. I don't
does
know.
he still say it though? Like, probably not. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe.
Well, I'd be interested to like, you know, not someone trying to cancel him, but just someone trying to be like, yeah, man, you still want to be black, bro? Like, I don't know, you know, like it's like, how you feeling? You know, I don't know.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, he doesn't really like say crazy shit anymore. He's just kind
yeah,
of like he seems like he's only on one trip right now. Just based on what I see on his Instagram and everything. But
what's his trip? Actually, I don't follow him on
well,
Instagram.
basically he's into his band Satellite Party with his wife, and they're all into just like, love and like peace, but also strippers.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and then he does Lollapalooza. They just did one, so it doesn't really seem like he's doing any edge lord shit.
But see, that's like another thing though. It's like strippers, right? Like for that generation, strippers would be. I don't know about, you know, maybe even transgressive or edgy. Like, yeah, man, like I hang out with prostitutes, man. Whereas like now it's just like sex work is work like any other work. You know, it's like it's completely there's
Hmm.
no like, but maybe in his mind it's like that's still like what's wrong with strippers, man? You know, and I'm like disrespectfully imitating this man who like I look up to so much, but it's just you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's like stuff that wouldn't get you like canceled or really offend people, but it's stuff. It's just like that's not how we talk anymore, man. Like that's just not like you know.
so, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so I'll tell you my seeing Jane's Addiction story.
Yeah,
So they did a reunion. Their first reunion was like 1997, I think.
yeah, I think so.
And I was in college, and they played at Brandeis University. It's like in Massachusetts. I actually don't know what town it's in, but it's kind of near Boston, I
That's what
guess.
I thought.
Do
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
any idea? Yeah. So anyway,
yeah. In that zone,
and
yeah.
um, and they hadn't put out any of their follow-up records to Ritual del Habitual yet. It was still just, that record 5 years later.
Yeah.
And I had a friend at school named Erica, and we basically became friends just because of Jane's Addiction. She was like my friend that like we just talked about Jane's Addiction, and like that's why we met. You know what I mean?
That's
just from like
awesome.
being a fan of this band. You know how that happens. And so we decided to go together to this thing, and we were both fanatics. So we went really, really early, and we were first in line or second in line. The doors opened. We got front row center, right in the middle, right in the front. And we were just standing there for a couple hours before the show started and before people filed in. There was no opener or anything like that. And the barrier was like, like a show barrier, but it was made of wood. And then when the lights came down and like, the room was full, everybody was excited. And they come on stage and they opened with Ocean Size. And as soon as the first notes hit, the entire crowd just like pushed forward and the barrier broke. And everybody that was in the front couple of rows was getting trampled by the whole crowd. And like,
Oh man.
and it was just brutal, man. Like I was on the ground. I thought I was going to die. And the only way that we got out of it was that underneath the stage was actually hollow, so we could actually crawl forward and crawl under the stage, and that's kind of what everybody on the ground did, and then we all kind of emerged backstage. There was like a group of like let's say like 40 people that were just crawling out from under the stage to
Wild.
to the backstage area, which was basically in a gymnasium, and that was kind of like the green room. And then my friend Erica, she had a broken wrist and a broken rib.
Oh, fuck.
And then they said basically the security were such assholes. They were like, first of all, Jane's Addiction didn't stop playing. They played the whole song and then they stopped after one song. So that was kind of shitty.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah,
people continued to get hurt while they just continued to play. I'm sure they saw what happened. And then they stopped after that one song and went off stage for like an hour or so. And all the security backstage, they were such assholes. They were basically like, if you're not going to go to the hospital, you have to go back out to the floor. And
Jesus, man. Yeah.
And so we were just like, well, we don't want to miss the show. We've been here for hours already, and this is like the only time we're going to get to see this. So we decided to go back out onto the floor, and she was just like, I'll just go to the hospital tomorrow.
Yeah, I might do the same.
Yeah. But then the other thing was that since we had to go back out in the crowd, of course, we couldn't get in the front row anymore. So we had to go all the way to the back. And we had to watch the rest of the show from like the very, 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 very last row. And
God damn it.
And we were just like bummed. We didn't enjoy it at all. They played all the cool songs.
Yeah.
And we just like didn't care, we're just like, this fucking sucks. And then then when Perry came back on stage after that hour of break, he goes, that wasn't such a big deal, was it?
It's like, not for you, dude. It's
like, that wasn't such a big deal, just a couple bruises.
It's like, we didn't like blast heroin before we got here also, so we're not fucking like
yeah. So after that, I couldn't listen to them for years and years and years and years. I was so upset.
Oh damn, really? Like just that experience, like you had to not hear it to it would bring you back.
Yeah, and also I was pissed at the way he handled it, and like his attitudes was shitty. So
I feel that.
And then then they released a couple of records in the like the late 90s, early 2000s that I didn't even check out.
Same here. I just didn't. I was like, these are probably great, but it's just like, dude, I never checked. This is really weird to say this given what I just released, but I like never listen to reunion albums, even if I've heard that they're like way better than anything else.
Yeah.
I just like don't care. I don't know why. For some reason, like, I don't know, like, like everyone said that Godflesh reunion is like amazing. I just didn't even listen to it. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Well, I later listened to the Jane's records and they're good.
Yeah.
So it's cool. But yeah, it was just like, um, I was probably like 15 years, or I was just like, I can't even deal with that band.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. I don't.
but
I couldn't. I didn't listen to Slint for maybe like about 15 years because I crashed my car in college listening to Spiderland.
oh my God.
So it was just like
Yeah.
very upsetting.
Yeah. But yeah, well, so yeah, anyway, that's one of my Jane's stories. But yeah. Anyway, but we could talk about Ritual de la Habitual and
Yeah.
specific if you want.
Yeah. That's the a lot of the time. I don't know. Sometimes with these, well, with these streams, a lot of the time I'll do like track by track going through it. I don't know. That can be a cool organizing principle. Um, a structural, just like
Sure, yeah. Yeah,
a formal decision up top from which we can deviate compositionally, make some choices.
sure.
Yeah, yeah, we could also start off generally too, just about the record, because this is just okay. Dude, just generally, this is the record.
Mm.
This like was one of the first favorite records of mine, and one of the first. I was like 10, so I was like just getting into music, and this kind of just launched any concept I had of like spirituality, mysticism, the beyond, just that kind of seriousness,
Mm.
of what music can be. Just mysticism, period. I had, it just didn't even occur to me that I don't know, that I would engage music in this way. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
just the sense of that there's some beyond or something. I
Oh,
don't know.
really?
You know? I don't know. What, does that surprise you? I figured you'd be like,
Well,
yes, me too, exactly the same.
hmm. No, I don't know, man. I think that maybe I was still too young to conceptualize that kind of thing with music. But I would say that maybe Jane's Addiction was the first music that I really got into that seemed really adult.
Yes.
Because the other music I was listening to at the time, let's say it was like Nirvana and like Deicide. like,
Interesting.
but like anyway, it's like both of those things are like pretty adolescent seeming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then compared to Jane's Addiction, which is like, the kind of like the like street aspect of it, and like the drug use and those kind of things, and the sex are like really, really, really forward. And
yes.
like Deicide is kind of just more like Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
and like Nirvana is kind of so oblique that you have no idea if it's about like adult things or not.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah. I feel that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that
so
cryptic. They both have the cryptic poetry vibe, but yeah, like Kurt Cobain, it's like so cryptic that you could, like, it doesn't force you to really think about what he's talking about necessarily, right? It's like,
no, yeah, and you couldn't even really understand him anyway.
yeah,
But
yeah,
Jane's Addiction, it was like almost every single song was about sex, I think.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
that's like eroticism, man. Yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy you were into Deicide and shit like that um, before Jane's Addiction, because I actually got into Jane's Addiction before Nirvana. Right before.
Yeah.
But it was the first alternative. So yeah, adult in the sense. Yeah, I had the same thing of like, this is adult, but it was more compared to like the hair metal that was on MTV, because like I didn't even
Mm.
have like tapes yet. Like Jane's Addiction was like my third tape. It was like Tracy Chapman, like
Mm.
Violator, and then Ritual. But like, yeah, like I just remember just watching all this. Yeah, it's like the very end of hair metal, and I kind of liked that on MTV. But then I saw Been Caught Stealing, and yeah, it was adult in the sense of that it just seemed smarter. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's like I didn't even know. Like I was just like, this is clearly like more
Mm.
just like intelligent. Like I don't know. Like that was
Yeah.
clear even as a kid. I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also one of the reasons why I didn't so deeply get into it, and when I first saw the video, was just because side A of that record is like the surfier side. It's like
Yeah.
the funky surfy side, and then side B is the goth side. So
Yes. Yes.
um, so yeah, I would say like the surfy, like kind of funk element wasn't really the most appealing to me, especially when the other
Mm.
music I was listening to was pretty heavy and dark. But then like later, when I think one of my friends showed me the whole record, and I heard what the side B was, and I realized that there was darkness there and beautiful like chorus guitar and
Yeah.
reverb and stuff. And I was like, oh,
Yeah. No, this is interesting because yeah, you were already dark, and then this was like adult dark,
totally.
and like yeah,
Yeah.
I was just like had just seen Poison and like Motley Crue singing about boobs, and then this was just like goth and everything, you know, like it's just like everything else, you know,
Yeah.
like flooding in, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, side B, man. Everyone talks about side B. I mean, yeah, that's the one, but like it's kind of only sick. Well, not it's not only sick because, but it's like the fact that it comes after side A is like so.
Mm,
I don't know. To
yeah.
me, that's like so. It's like so deep because I don't know that surfy stuff though. The like playful, like I do like the playful aspect of Jane's Addiction. You know, like he's like impish. You know,
Yeah.
he's like a
Sure.
little mischievous like imp guy.
Totally. Yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, I tried to emulate his vocals on a lot of like demos that I made in high school too. Um, and I think that, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, they're a big influence from my music, but the kind of like elfy, impy thing, I really was super into it. Because I was also just into like new age and astral projection and shit like that too. So I just
Word.
and D&D. So like, I just liked how it was like anti-masculine and just, kind of went along with that.
Yeah, yo, anti-masculine. See,
Yeah.
this is interesting. Yeah, see, we're,
Yeah.
we're going off on general vibe stuff instead of song by song, which is fine for me, man, because we're getting like him, Perry as a non-macho
Hmm.
guy. Um, it's so funny thinking back because yeah, to me that was so deep and amazing and like ooh, like being kind of androgynous or feminine or like is he gay, like whatever, you know.
Hmm.
It's just funny because like looking back I'm like I almost want to recapture that because like the past couple of years I've just been on some like reactionary just man like just lifting weights, like why is everyone such a little bitch, like you know I've just been like going like just completely not completely opposite, but you know what I'm saying, like
Sure.
um yeah, like Perry. The thing is I could see Perry on Rogan, but anyway, yeah. um
I could, yeah, you're right. Like I could see that happening. It's
but
weird.
he's very unlike Rogan, but yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, like that kind of man, it's good. Yo, for me, I mean, that was hearing them. I was like 10, 11. That was like first when I was like, you know, sort of coming online, not on the internet, but sort of becoming activated like sexually and stuff. And like, I remember my first kind of like fantasies about like what I would want like a girl to be like would be like that she's like into that kind of thing and is like into like, you know,
Oh yeah.
magical stuff. And like I got really into incense, you know, like after like listening to 3 days I like put like burn incense and like, you know, this kind of thing, like it was like, you know, yeah.
Yeah, and like septum piercings, like it's
Yeah,
probably
man.
like the reason I still like them so much is because of Jane's Addiction.
Yeah, totally.
Um,
Yeah.
oh yeah, also like it just occurred to me also that he uses delay on his vocals in like every single song,
Oh
and
yeah.
that's a huge aesthetic um influence also, like just
On
the
your
fact,
work.
yeah, totally, that
Yeah,
fact that he
no.
just insisted on that. I actually saw Porno for Pyros before the Jane's Addiction debacle show. I saw them in like '96 or something, and it
Hmm.
was at a very small venue in Northampton. And Erica and I hung around the bus after the show, so we met the band, and I just remember like that show actually got cut short because the delay broke on the vocals.
Oh, and he
So
was just
so they basically played like for like 20 minutes, and then the delay broke, and then he was like, I can't do the show anymore, and they fucking they fucking cut the show short.
that's a little weird. Well,
Yeah.
that's weird because his delay. I was thinking about that when I listened to it. That it's like the longest delay in the world. Like that
Yeah.
opening, like here we go, like that
Yeah.
go is like the whole rest of the song. It's just like happening and shit. But
Yeah.
it's not very loud delay though, right? I mean, it's not like slapback or something. You think you could do without it, but yeah.
Well, I guess not. I mean, his voice is pretty shrill, and so I could see why the delay would fill up the space. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, that was
yeah.
one of the things about his voice too. And it's like that. It had that. It was like not only not macho sounding. I mean, it was like not only kind of not necessarily feminine, but not masculine. And it also had this like childlike vibe. He kind of sounds like a little girl in a way. You know, he's like
Mm.
a like. I mean, the vibe is very adult, but I don't know his. I guess it's
Yeah.
hard to even describe his vocal style. It's like so fucking unique. You know.
So cool. Yeah. 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 Definitely.
Yeah, it's just haunting, like ghostly, man. You know. Um, but yeah, like I mean, re-listening to this too. I'm like looking at my notes here. Um, I'll tell you, I was really thinking about them. You know, we're talking about them as goth and punky and like Bad Brains and Bauhaus and this and that, but it's like they're kind of a classic rock band. Like not just because they're not just because they've become classic, but almost like like Zeppelin or something, in the sense that it's like, well, something I'm always talking about is like the the classic rock, just the like charismatic frontman singer, enigmatic guitar player, you know,
Mm.
like the Axl Slash, the Robert Plant, the
Hmm.
Jimmy Page, you know, they have that, you know, they have
Yeah.
like their version of that, like
Totally.
just
Absolutely.
yeah, it's like just iconic.
Yeah. And it's interesting that people kind of have generally forgotten about them these days. I would just say that like you never hear anybody talk about them, or you never hear anybody remember that they existed, or you never hear
Yeah.
anybody say how much they like them. And I think it'd be the same type of thing that when you mentioned it to me, I was like, oh yeah, like I almost even forgot how much I love that band,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we were trying to think of records to talk about, and like that one didn't even occur to me. And like they kind of exist, and they exist as this classic rock band, except nothing really has happened with them recently for people to have a reason to remember them, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. It's out of style at the moment. Yeah, I think well, funk, mixing funk and like metal and shit is like, I mean, new metal is kind of having this comeback, but it's like corn and stuff, which is
Yeah.
not, it's not the same, you know. It's like
No.
angry and tough.
Yeah.
Um
It's really dark too. Yeah. And
yeah.
and Perry is definitely on this kind of like optimism vibe. He
Yeah,
has been
yeah.
for like a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, the romanticism of it all. I mean, even with all the darkness and stuff, I mean, it's all, you know, it's like all now with wings, man. You know, that's it, you know. Um I remember that line that line I suit like when that came out when I was like 11, me and my friend Jeremy, we tried to make our own. We had just checked out the Anarchist Cookbook, and so we wanted to make our own anarchist cookbook about how to like build bombs and like instructions for how to like, I don't even remember what was in it, like how to build bombs and like how to do graffiti, like I don't even know. But we like for the epigraph we put like all now with wings, Perry Farrell, like that was like, it's like first getting into just like, yo, like let's just be deep, like this, you know, like just being like just deciding to like get into just the idea of being deep, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, you going back to the thing you said about it kind of being spiritual for you.
Yeah.
And I said I was kind of too young, and I think another thing that goes along with that is I was too young to really understand like why it was deep, maybe.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I definitely felt that it was very very deep, and that it was really mysterious and intriguing, and it was something that I wanted to be a part of. But yeah, I don't think that I could really, you know, like you said, all now with wings. It's like I don't even think that I would have thought about what that is, or you know, I wouldn't have thought about any of those lyrics, or I don't know. I think
Yeah,
I,
but you,
yeah. I mean, I've never really been like a lyrics guy anyway. Um,
that's
and
always weird. I've heard you say that before, but it surprises me like every time I hear you
no,
say
no, no.
that. But
I am now, but like, um, but I always focused on sound and music first.
yeah,
And, you know, even like with my own work, I work with a guy that writes, you know, and when it's time for me to write my own lyrics, I have a really hard time with it. I really don't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
And it's not really like an intuitive form of communication for me. And yeah, so I always just would focus on the sound first, the cool, like with Jane's Addiction, yeah, like the form and like the tone of the guitar and the sound of his voice and the
Yeah.
effects and all of that, like
Yeah.
the lyrics would have been like way, way, way
But it's
behind.
like it's like communicating the same thing, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, I mean, it's the music and the, like, this is why it's great art. It's a great band. I mean, it's like, yeah. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have at that age said mystical exactly, but I mean, just to even have lyrics that are like, yeah, that are not, yeah, that are just mysterious. I mean, just stuff where you're, like you said, you're like, I want to be a part of this,
Mm-hmm.
like, because you want to step into something. It's like you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
step. It's like, I don't know, like there's this vibe of like the 90s of like otherworldliness or something. It's like, like
Yeah.
right before that, it's like the shit on MTV. It's like really is like Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses, and it's like, I mean, yeah, you kind of want to quote unquote be a part of that when you're a kid, but it's like very clear like what that is. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and like the drug vibe, like that's the thing. It's like all those dudes were all into heroin and shit, but it was just like decadent, sleaze, like Jeremiah's saying, just like the sleazy decadent. But like
Mm-hmm.
with Jane's, that drug vibe, that's the first time I had that sense of like, oh, like drugs. I mean, it's maybe not a good thing to put in a child's head, but that like drugs can be mystical or some kind of, there's a religious, spiritual angle, an erotic angle, that this isn't just bro stuff, or
Yeah,
rock and
exactly.
roll stuff.
And yeah, and like listening to Nirvana at the same time, which was also a really druggy band. Um, the vibe with what they were trying to communicate about their drug use was super, super different.
Yes.
Because like the Nirvana vibe was like, these drugs make me feel terrible, but I keep doing them anyway. Like
Yeah.
Alice in Chains is like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then, but Jane's Addiction was the opposite of that. It was like these drugs are making me transcend.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I mean, it's really like that beatnik vibe, you know what I mean? It's
yeah,
really, and like that vibe of just like dropping out of society, you know what I mean? It's like drug. There's that
totally.
sense of like, I'm not a part of your, like world, consumerism, etc. Industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny how Nirvana, man, when I revisit them, not only is it as good as when I was a kid, it's like more negative. Like the negativity of it is
Hmm.
even more crushing
Yeah.
now. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, this is actually a little messed up that little kids were listening to this. I mean, it's possibly fucked up. Like, I kind of wouldn't want my child
Yeah.
to hear this.
But
Maybe
it
I don't
was
know.
oblique enough that like nobody knew.
I guess so. Yeah.
Nobody knew what the words were.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that? Yeah. Do you remember? Yeah, you remember like they had to even put a subtitled version of the "Well Smells Like Teen Spirit." Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
No, I don't remember this. What did they put subtitles on
Oh yeah,
the
like
video?
so they had that big hit, and like it was such a big hit, but every single person was like, I have no idea what he's saying. So they re-released a version of the video with subtitles.
That's silly. That's
Yeah.
very silly.
And then
Those
the Weird Al version of that song, it's all about how nobody can understand
can
it.
understand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, totally. Yeah, that's a really good Weird Al one. I mean, I can't say those are my favorite Nirvana lyrics. I mean, that song is a little bit like too random and whatever. But yeah, see, Juan is asking, did Jane's Addiction have a glam influence?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit because, well, because yeah, like I was saying, like in a certain, like they're part of the same city, the same time as like Guns N' Roses, right? But they're like in some ways like the opposite of Guns N' Roses, but
But I don't think Dave Navarro was the opposite of Guns N' Roses.
no,
If
he's
you
not.
if you look at any photos of him from that time, he looks like exactly like the guys in Guns N' Roses. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
He's got
yeah.
all the same clothes. He's got the funny hat. He's got the scarves.
Hmm.
It's exactly the same. He was the
Yeah,
most glam.
and that's coming from glam. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and he
Well,
even was wearing like high heels. I mean, like Perry was wearing high heels too, but they were glam. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's almost, in a way, if we're talking about them as a glam thing, it's almost like they're bringing glam elements back to their original
Yeah.
roots, because like like T-Rex and Bowie, that stuff was like, had the femi vibe, the androgynous vibe, some of the mysticism, and then you get glam metal or whatever you want to call that, like Motley Crue and fucking Guns N' Roses. That's like the glam style, but the attitude is just like like bro vibes.
Now that you're mentioning glam, I think that's the thing that he says in the GIF. He says we're like Bauhaus mixed with glam.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Word. He did. In another place, he definitely says Bad Brains meets Duke Ellington. I think maybe that's in. I'm not sure. Yeah. But yeah, Bauhaus meets glam. Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah,
totally. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, like, as far as Navarro's guitar playing, I mean, that's definitely something to touch on. I don't think either of us have like demonstrated really obvious use of his. I don't know. Or maybe speak for yourself. There's some, for me, like, there's a lot of stuff. There's so many guitar players that I just like changed my life, but I didn't take anything from them at all.
My background with guitar is that my friend Greg was the lead guitarist in my bands. So so my role as a guitarist was more like the Hetfield role,
Yes.
And it was always Greg's responsibility to do the lead. So I never learned lead guitar when I was young, and I never cared about lead guitarists, and there's like solos and shit. It wasn't like my thing. Yeah. I mean, I loved listening to them, but it wasn't like something I tried to participate with. Yeah. But then, like, as a composer now, and going back to side B of that record, and then you hear like all the cool tones and like all the, especially in Then She Did, and like the choices of effects and stuff like that. Yeah. That's Dave Navarro too. So I guess that's a really big influence for me, like those decisions of his.
Yeah, tone and vibe and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the solo, I mean, man, I love the 3 days solo, of course. It's like one of the greatest. But like, but yeah, it's not the type of thing I ever personally tried to learn or emulate.
Yeah. You see, because I remember showing like some Jane stuff to my guitar teacher at the time, and I remember he was just like, this is just like, he's just doing Hendrix, man. It's the same thing as Hendrix and Clapton and shit. And I'm like, even at the time, I was like, dude, you are like missing what art is. Like, this is not, the vibe of this is not like Eric Clapton. Like, really? You think that,
Yeah, and there's like also tons of delay on it, so it's like not Hendrix at all. So
yeah. I mean, the whole, because I think like the vibe, it's like they both, delay is the vibe with both of them. Well, because that's the ocean, man. That's that ocean. Like there's so many of those solos. What's so inspiring to me is when they start, and it's so much of the time Perry's like go or whatever. There's so many great like goes, and Navarro just beginning, because it's like not wanky, but it's also not like tastefully crafted. Like, it is kind of like just ripping, like just waves, it's like unleashing the waves.
Yeah,
like it just sounds like dropping into a wave or something.
I think maybe he also was maybe the first extended technique guitar lead I ever heard. Do you remember the solo in Mountain Song, how it there's like the part where it's all these like weird noise harmonics and shit with like a ton of delay, and yeah, I just remember hearing that. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. There's like harmonics and kind of whammy bar-ish, noisy kind of.
Yeah. It's almost like he's even playing like the, the part before the nut.
Yeah. That Sonic Youth thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, absolutely, man. Absolutely. He's an amazing. Also, what an interesting. He's also there is that also the parallel of Slash, of like this guy who like basically played on 2 records and is just like one of the guitar heroes of all time, and has just had, like he's just like this iconic dude for the rest of his life and for history, after basically playing on just 2 records, right? I mean,
no, man, he's definitely, well, they have 3 records, three like seminal records, and then they have all their other ones. But then he joined Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then he was in Red Hot Chili Peppers for at least one record, maybe two.
He was only in it for one hot minute, man.
Yeah, but they're like one of the biggest bands in the world, you know.
Right.
So.
No, true. But I mean, just I don't know. He hasn't really but he doesn't really have like a body of work. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's not like Jimmy Page, who's just like Zeppelin made like a million records and stuff. Like, I don't know. I'm not slighting him. I'm impressed. I just think it's kind of like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a crazy career when you think about that. Like, just playing, like, just make it like playing when you're like 20 years old or 22 on like just these world altering records.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of coast, like being on like a tattoo show and like like it's like,
yeah. He's just being a rich guy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful man. He still looks great.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. There's all this stuff like, I mean, you know what song I really like? Some of the lyrics kind of creep me out. Like, not even on the mystical level exactly, but like that stuff like Ain't No Right. It like I'm looking at it was Ain't No Right and Of Course. Like they both have this really like I don't know, like it doesn't sound negative, but it's like stuff where he's like ain't no wrong now, ain't no right. Like there's only pleasure and pain. Like that was something that when I first heard that I was just like, "Oh my god." Like just he's like making it beautiful, but like I had like never thought about just these like amoral meditations, like on just, and of course he's just like, he's like one must eat the other, like, like, like we're all just animals eating each other. Like, I don't know. I mean, he is hopeful and optimistic, like the final word with him is this transcendent, beautiful thing, but it's like those moments, to me, I found that kind of chilling when I was a kid. Yeah, like Anakin says, nothing forbidden, everything permitted.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't think about the lyrics at the time, but I'm trying to think about them now as you're talking about. And so, like, and of course, there's that line where he goes, "You said one must eat the other, runs free before him."
Like put him right into his mouth.
And then it's like a sensation not unlike slapping yourself in the face, and then in the song right before it, he says that when I was a boy.
Yeah, no, that's the same song.
Yeah. Same song. Yeah. My big brother held onto my hand, and he made me slap my own face. So like,
yeah.
What's that all about in that song?
Well, I don't know exactly about the slapping the stuff. I mean, I took that as like his brother's bullying him, and just being like, and just being like, like, like might makes right, like we're seeing in the comments. Stuff,
yeah,
like
but then when you say later in the song, one must eat the other, put it right into its mouth, a sensation not unlike slapping yourself in the face. So then it's kind of like, it's like this cyclical thing. It's like Saturn eating his children thing.
Yeah. Yo, totally. And I mean, this thing of, well, it's like if you're eating your brother, it's like eating yourself, because there's this, you're the same kind of, it's like cannibalistic or self like killing,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like every line of that like totally adds up to me, but
yeah. But I guess like his lyrics are deeper than maybe you would expect them to be of other bands, because he's kind of an old man.
An old soul for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, he's like, I mean, like probably when Ritual de la Habitual came out, he was probably 40 already.
No, he was he's born in 58. So
okay,
he was 30. He was 33 or 32 when Ritual came out.
Okay.
But I mean, that's 27 is kind of old to start your first. I mean, 29 is kind of old, to start your first. That or it's not his first band. He did Psycom and stuff. But
yeah.
But he definitely was not like, well, because when he came to, I think when he moved to LA, from New York, that's another interesting thing. I think of them and him as the most LA band on earth, but he's actually from Queens. But he, but like, yeah, I think when he first moved out there, he was on some like homeless, like, I think he was kind of like a rent boy, like twink, like kind of sex toy for like David Geffen and like those.
Oh, really?
Cats. Yeah.
Whoa, man.
I think he was kind of like a little passed around little dude,
Wow.
Yeah. It's not like he doesn't know pain. I mean, he doesn't like need to become black. Like he's been fucking through enough, you know. But not to keep coming back to it anyway. But
Uh, yeah, that's pretty dark. I didn't know that he did
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah, that
totally.
would make sense that he's like so into the seedy side of identity, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
No,
that was
totally.
actually a bad influence on me too, because especially that movie The Gift, which if your viewers haven't seen it, it's the Jane's Addiction movie that they put out.
Yeah,
And anyway, in that he just kind of shows um, how he like lives in the sleaze, and in the dirt of the street, and how his whole life is just like hanging around with low people. He hangs out in alleys with drug dealers, and he hangs out on Venice Beach with all the people that hang out there,
yeah.
and he's just high all the time, and he gets arrested at the end, and
Oh
um,
yeah, I see this. I haven't this. I should have watched that to study up for this. But yeah,
yeah, all it really just shows that um, he's basically saying, I'm one of these people, even though like I'm a rock star, like I'm more like this like low shitty person,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and he's like, and that's cool, and if you're in high school and you're watching that, you're like, yeah, I want to be like that.
yeah, yeah. No, I know, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this is, yeah, and then like 30 years later, I'm just like, dude, drugs are for losers. Making money is good at whatever. I mean, it's like I don't actually necessarily think all this stuff, but it's like been like untying those knots for like decades now. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
bad advice.
I
Bad
know.
influences. But it got us into the beyond, man. I mean, for me, it's not at exactly the same time, but it's like these kind of markers of like records or artists that kind of like took it up a notch of like this is the seriousness, this is what music can mean. This is the mystical, like on a mystical, like a spiritual level. I mean, it was like Jane's, and then Neurosis through Silver and Blood, and then John Coltrane, which is, I know you're not like as much of a jazz dude, but you fuck with Coltrane, right? I mean, you're like,
Man, I have not really listened to very much John Coltrane at all.
oh, we're gonna have to do some night drives in
Yeah.
Europe then, man.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
excited. Everybody says, you know,
yeah,
you know what they say. So
yeah. I mean, if we're just talking about,
yeah.
going, going beyond, portals, man, doors.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, I never got super into the Doors, but Jane's has a lot of doors in there, I would say.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I never really thought about that, but you're right. I think that the the kind of thing that they're trying to communicate, the kind of mysterious mysticism, and that you're in this kind of like dark secret space together, except
Yeah.
it's this huge party, and it's this like huge um bacchanal,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. Bacchanal, too. There you go. Nice.
but but it's also secret, and it's dark, and it's negative, but it's also positive at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What's up, Phil? We got Philip Price in the
What's
thing.
up, Philip?
The yeah, like what was I gonna say? Yeah, yeah. I feel like almost it's like Jim Morrison was like Perry Farrell was almost like the kind of guy that Jim Morrison was like trying to be. I mean, not. I mean, Jim Morrison obviously legitimately was a drug dude and died, but just the like I don't know. Like I always I Morrison always rubbed me the wrong way because I always felt like he was like, okay, like this band's great, and his lyrics are kind of sick, but he's also kind of like this film bro.
Hmm.
He's kind of like this, like the jock. No offense to athletes, obviously, but like like the like jock senior who like gets into like trying to like fuck the art girls like senior year because he like thinks he's going to film school or something like that. It's like Jim Morrison always kind of seemed like that dude, but that like Perry's like the real deal.
I don't know enough about Jim Morrison to really say,
He
but
sucks, yeah. Definitely sucks. But the lyrics are kind of some of it. I don't know, yeah. But yeah, I mean Morrison. I mean that's a big influence on Joy Division too, which is like all these real cats are influenced by like this jive dude. Maybe he's not jive. Maybe I'm being a little bit whatever. But
Hmm.
but yeah, like dude, Perry's so real, dude. It's like that innocence, man. It's like to be that like drugged out and all this stuff, but it's like
Yeah.
it's about innocence, you know?
Yeah, I really think that you really hit the nail on the head with that, because I think that he is definitely somebody that's never coming back from a trip. You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm sure you've met those people, right, in your life. They've done too many psychedelics, and they're permanently in that space.
Yeah.
And then that space is, of course, it's a space of seeing the world with innocent eyes.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just, you know, he the way he talks, the way that he engages with the world, you know, his just where his eyes are, he's just in another place, man.
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
I said, I met him one time after that Porno for Pyro show, and it was like, yeah, he was just like in another place.
Yeah.
Not heroin, you know, just like a guy that like wasn't coming back from a trip.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think Jane's and Neurosis and Coltrane and other stuff that set the mystical tone. I think that stuff influenced me to do psychedelics a lot. I think because I did romanticize the heroin thing, but not enough to like actually get into doing it, you know?
Mm.
So thankfully, yeah, I definitely I did like a lot of acid like later in high school and mushrooms and stuff, and I think that was definitely influence. Yeah, just this idea that you can go somewhere, that there are other places, you know, that there's beyond, there's veils, you know, there's veils that you can pierce and lift, you know, that classic alchemical, you know, that occult, like that woodcut, like 15th century thing of the person like lifting the night sky, and there's the, you know what I'm saying, like lifting up the curtain of the horizon, and then there's the night sky, you know, it's like, right, yeah, it's like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like so what do we say, what's your favorite? What's 3 days, right? That's the one.
Yeah. 3 days and Then She Did are the best songs.
Yeah.
And actually, I listened to it again, you know, a couple weeks ago to prepare for this chat, and I actually like had never noticed how much of a kind of, well, you know, the song "Classic Girl" at the end.
Yes.
It has like this like this beat that's kind of like a Berlin "Take Your Breath Away" drum sound, and
Oh yeah.
I don't. So it's like it's this really like '80s gothic pop drum sound.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like a drum machine, and
Right,
and
where the snares are, yeah.
yeah, and it's like, and there's a delay on it, of course, on the drums, and I don't think I ever noticed that it was like that synthetic of a sound when I listened to that record when I was younger. I actually don't even think that it registered to me that there were drums in that song, because I always thought of that song as a ballad.
Yes.
You know, a song
yes.
that you could basically sit down with your acoustic guitar and strum it, and it would be exactly the same song. But I went back and I was like, oh, the production of this is like really kind of crucial to what the song is. You know?
Yeah. No, I had the same thing when I re-listened to it. I was like, oh yeah, the song's bigger than I thought. Like I think of it as the quiet, the quiet last one. Yeah, man. You know what really, well, this always kind of struck me, but I hadn't, like, something about just Perry's lyrics, man, like, is that like a lot of them are like not good. I mean, they're amazing, but they're like not slick. Like it'll just be like in Classic Girl, he's like such a classic girl gives a man a great idea. It makes you to want to tell your friend, hey man, why don't you listen to my great idea?
Yeah.
Like that's like not poetic, but it is like he makes stuff. I mean, and a lot of his lyrics are kind of like they don't rhyme, they don't rhythmically, they're not like they're not metered well, you know. Oh, listen to, we got the dogs, we got the been caught stealing dogs. You hear that shit?
It's the same, yeah.
but no, but like I almost like, this is maybe just a personal connection, but I like feel actually a connection with Morrissey. Not at all on the vocal tone and not on the attitude thing, but just on that vibe of having a lot of the lyrics that are not you know what I'm saying? Like they don't rhyme, they're kind of meandering,
Sure.
they're just like prose, they're prose like,
Okay.
but then making it poetic and making it feel like, you know, catchy and memorable, even though it's like not
Hmm.
catchy on their own, kind of, you know.
I think more. Yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying, but Morrissey, I think it's like that times 10.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
way,
yeah.
way, way, way more than Jane's Addiction. But yeah, I like in Jane's Addiction that he'll use words that are not lyrical words,
Yeah.
and I actually like you used to do that also, and I thought that was cool. Like you have like a lyric that's like I'm not that dude, and I just
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
like
yeah. I
I
say
remember when
vibe like
you say
20,000
vibe,
times on that record. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I remember like when I heard you say those words, I was like, that's cool because would nobody would think that those are lyrics because they're not poetic enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
And
that's what I used to love. I mean, that was a little more deliberate though, like way more self-conscious than any, you know,
sure,
Perry Farrell stuff. But I used to love the idea of just cringe. I mean, just deliberately like putting dumb shit in there, you
yeah,
know,
but
like
man,
just
maybe like
dumb, you know.
maybe Perry Farrell was the same.
Yeah, no,
You know,
possibly. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like ain't no right. He goes, I am skin and bones, I am pointy
You
nose,
know,
but a motherfucker
motherfucking
makes
makes
me cry. Yeah. Like,
that got me hyped as a skinny dude with a big nose. I was like, fuck yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about, man.
yeah.
Definitely makes me try.
Or he goes,
Yeah,
no one's leaving. I'm a white dread. I'm a white dread. So
yeah, you're
I'm
right,
gonna
right. No, no,
like
I know. Yeah, no, it is kind of like cringe and just like whatever. Yeah,
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 like man, there's yeah, his lyrics have that vibe of like not sitting down to write lyrics. Like it's like a guy's diary or just like a you know, like creative dude who just always has a book and is just like scratch lyrics, like, you know.
yeah.
Um yeah, it's like very like yeah, it's like a very like natural in that way, but strange, you know. Yeah, like the lyrics, they don't all like make total sense immediately, and some of them don't even totally like completely add up every line. Yeah, individuality is cringe. They're saying, I yeah, I would say that. I would also say maybe this isn't as much of a Perry Farrell thing, but in my stuff and stuff that or like stuff that I good cringe in lyrics, I think specificity is really cringe, like overly specific stuff, you know, like naming like
Totally.
like
Exactly.
brand like brand names
Oh yeah.
in your stuff, you know, or like just overly mundane stuff. Oh, that's Bjorn. What's up, Bjorn?
I like to specifically reference like dates, you know.
Yo,
Um,
I
that's,
know. I
that's
do.
really
I mean,
important.
I don't, but that's dude. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
Yeah.
yeah, to be that specific and be like, no, this is this exact thing. Like I like that.
Dude,
But
dates are creepy, man.
yeah.
Dates are scary in lyrics. It's like what happened then,
Yeah, man.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like horror short story. Like I don't know, like I think Poe or Lovecraft, or you know, like they'll have or like it'll be like a series of diary entries or letters, you know, that kind of horror thing, or Legati, you know, those kind of
Oh,
um
yeah.
yeah.
I want to tell one more quick Jane's Addiction story.
Oh yeah,
Um,
please.
but like people are saying, talk about diagonal power and stuff. So I don't know if you want to like move to talk about something else, but
I
but
mean, I've been talking about I've been talking about the new Extra Life a lot, and you're going to hear a lot more talking. So let's
okay.
not, yeah, let's keep it with Jane's and you know Jane centric and Toby centric here.
Okay. So when I was in high school, I went to the National Guitar Summer Workshop in New Milford, Connecticut, uh,
Nice.
and it was like a summer camp for guitar, and I went a couple of years, but they they would have these like student ensembles, and you could pick a song, and you could put a band together, and you could perform it at the weekend concert, and I did a stop at one of those,
Hell yeah.
and this guy that did it with us, his name was Carl Restivo, and he was one of the teachers there. and he was like a big Jane's Addiction fan too. So like he even kind of looked and talked a little bit like Perry Farrell at the time. He had a band. He had a band, because the teachers could sell their own CDs there too, and so his band sounded a lot like Jane's, and like his vocals were the same. Like he obviously was a big fan. So anyway, we did stop at this thing, and anyway, that guy now. I looked him up and he like works with Perry all the time, and he even co-wrote a couple songs on the last Jane's Addiction record. Yeah. And so you can look on YouTube and you can see like them performing it'd be like Perry, Carl, and Dave Navarro like performing an acoustic set somewhere or something like that.
That's so cool. Good for him. Imagine like how that feels, right?
I know. Yeah. And so he just became like a LA sideman guy, but like in that scene, but
yeah. Oh, that's crazy, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, that'd be funny if there was a recording of that somewhere. But there were no phones. There were no smartphones at the time. So
I know what a drag, right?
Probably not. Yeah.
They National Guitar Workshop. It's funny. I didn't go to that. I went to Bucks Rock though for camp.
Yeah,
do you know Bucks
also
Rock?
in New? No, I don't know it, but I only know it through Jeremiah. But
Jeremiah, yeah,
it was in New Milford, right? Yeah.
Also, yeah. But National Guitar Workshop. If I'm not misremembering, I think Tony Gedrich and Ben Greenberg met at that, and I think they were counselors there with Andrew Hawk there as a camper or whatever. So there's like mad guitar players up in this.
Wow.
Up in this shit.
They would have been probably 10 years behind me though, right?
I think yeah. I mean Hawk would have been, and the other Greenberg would be like 5 or 7 or something years behind you. But yeah, Bucks Rock was sick too, though. We don't have to go too deep on summer camps and shit, but like, yeah. But yeah, was that your first time performing live, like playing guitar or bass or whatever in front of people? Was Stop or no?
No, actually, the first time was actually I guess that would have been the first time with a band. But when I was maybe like a freshman or a sophomore or something like that, we had a school concert. I was probably a sophomore because I was still playing clarinet when I was a freshman. But
right, you play clarinet.
Yeah, but Greg, the Maudlin of the Well, Kayo Dot guitarist, he for his like student recital, he wanted to play a medley of the clean guitar parts from Master of Puppets.
Nice. That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. That's a really good call.
So he strung together, the clean part from Master of Puppets, a clean part from Welcome Home to Sanitarium, and Orion, and I played bass, and he played guitar, and so that was probably the first. Yeah, it was probably the first bass concert I ever had.
Nice.
and then the National Guitar Summer Workshop. After that, I went 1 year as a guitarist, and then the next year I went as a bassist, and that was cool because every band, every like student ensemble needed a bassist, so I got to play with a few different ensembles.
Yeah.
There weren't that many of them there. Yeah, there were probably like 200 guitar students there, and there were probably only like 15 bass students.
Yeah. So, I wanted to play bass before guitar because from being into Metallica, I just thought Cliff Burton was really cool, because that was the first kind of, I don't know, crazy rock stuff. Was I into Metallica or Jane's I think exactly the same time, pretty much. But yeah, I was like, I wanted to play bass, but then I can't remember. I think the guy at the store, like I was just going to guitar stores and like messing around. I think the guy was like, "Why don't you learn how to play guitar instead? It's like more strings." I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." So, some stupid, like this little stupid things that change your whole life trajectory. But
oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, yeah. What are the other things that I realized about Jane's? We may have covered all the general topics, like.
Here's another cool thing that I found out recently. I've been like really into New Age my whole life, but it's been kind of more at the forefront of what I'm doing in the past couple of years.
Totally.
So I just looked at the credits of course, because I was like, who the fuck played violin on that? Anyway, it's the violinist from Shadowfax, the famous New Age band.
Oh, I don't know them.
They're like from that type of New Age that's kind of like the Yellow Jackets. You know, it's kind of like
Like
kind of
fusion, right? Is that
fusion. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like more jazz than synth. You know.
I might not really actually be even really familiar with that
Hmm.
area of music because when I think of new age, like all I actually really know of new age music is Enya and your record, Lord
Oh,
Crucible. So I don't like actually know
oh, all
all
right.
the things that are considered new age. So you're gonna have to hit me when we're on the road.
Yeah, yeah. You'll play some John Coltrane for me, and I'll
Put
take
me
it out of
on, dude.
space, man.
Yeah, dude, it's all in space, man. Enya, Coltrane, baby, man, they're all playing in the sky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's definitely a lot to love about New Age.
Yeah, but like the violinist. But I mean, are we talking? Well, so what makes it new age? Is it, it's like relaxing, or I thought new age music had to be kind of
Oh, if
like
you're gonna ask me what makes Shadowfax New Age, I don't know. I think that they just were called New Age at the time, but
yeah,
I don't know if I would call them that now. Um, but they were known as being like this, one of the bigger New Age bands,
yeah.
and they probably even won a Grammy. I don't even know, but
They're
um,
certainly huge. I always
yeah.
figured they were fusion. I never heard Yellow Jackets. I thought they were like Brecker, like fusion or whatever, like Brecker Brothers or something.
Yeah, I think like there's a lot of fusion and new age crossover, and I think the thing that makes it fall into new age is if there's some kind of ethos to it,
Mm,
and then and then more like kind of spacey, synthy, or like keyboard sounds or something like that.
word.
There's one that I like in particular is this Norwegian guy called Oystein Sivag, and he probably in Norway he would be considered to be Norwegian jazz, but he's on Sony Classical. That's the label he's on, so it's kind of like could be considered sort of in that world, but sort of in Norway it would be jazz, but then here I think it's new age because it's all about like all the music is about like the world and like you know like the globe, and
The world.
it's all about like the planet,
It's
what
like
I mean?
it's like what's your music about? It's just about the world, man.
Yeah,
It's
it's about the
like
planet, and it's like about yeah, shit like that. So
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of like nature stuff, but also
Word.
fusion. Yeah.
I feel that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess like yeah, actually, yeah, yeah. Phil says like Alice Coltrane could be considered new age. That I could totally
Oh,
see that.
oh yeah, absolutely fucking yeah,
Totally proto new age. And
yeah,
Aniket's talking about Dead Can Dance as new age. I
yeah.
could see that for sure. I've never really thought about it or heard that, but yeah,
I think they have
yeah.
too many vocals, like
Right.
too many lyrics. They're like too much pop for that.
Right,
I would
right.
say.
Right. It's too
But
like
yeah,
yeah.
they're like but like Enya was also, but Enya had a lot of like non verbal mm, vocalizations,
Yeah,
and I guess
yeah.
like some Dead Can Dance later on did too. But yeah, yeah, Dead Can Dance is kind of new age.
Yeah. I mean, I like a lot of that ECM jazz stuff. I mean, are you like on that vibe? Because that's a lot of it is kind of new agey
You're right. I'm
on the
not familiar enough with
surface.
it. I'm not familiar enough with it to say.
Yeah. I mean, there's
Mhm.
like Norwegian jazz cats are on that label from the 80s. Like it's like spacey. It's like stuff coming out of jazz, but it's spacey and watery and reverby and minimalistic and stuff.
Cool.
But see, I don't know. That's new agey, but like I don't know when the music's being powered by all this like nuanced musicianship and interplay and hooked up harmonic shit. To me, that makes me think of it as not new age. But maybe I'm like,
Oh,
I think I may not be
oh
giving it
man.
enough, not giving it enough credit. You know?
Yeah, no way, dude. Like New Age has some of the highest level musicianship out of any genre.
Yeah.
It's just that I think a lot of people think of New Age as spa music,
Right.
and all of that's like super synthetic, and unfortunately, it's just like the lowest common denominator of the genre. But if you really check out like people that are taking the genre seriously, it's super super high level musicianship,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
really virtuosic, and like because one of the things about new age is that the sounds have to be perfect like classical music. There can't be any warts or anything, like no fuck ups, no
Yeah.
warts. It just has to be fucking perfect.
Mm. Okay.
And in order to kind of have that level of control, not only in the performance but also in the recording, um it just has to be like really really taken care of.
Yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that. No, this is we're gonna many pills will be exchanged musically, or not
Yeah.
even just musically, but just convincings. We don't even to call them pills, but trading convincings. Um, like what do you? Well, I mean, you know how big of a Fire Tools fan I am.
Yeah.
She gives shouts out to New Age, and I think it's
I
New
bet.
Age. I think, yeah, like along the lines of the kind of stuff that you're talking about, because I know she's like really into fusion, but she was saying she kind of got into fusion through like music on the Weather Channel,
Oh
and
yeah.
it kind of got she sort of broke the post ironic
Hmm.
uh Ouroboros of like loving it and making it deep.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah, I think that Weather Channel I think there's.
Yeah. Yeah. Sound Choice is the series of channels that we have here,
Sound
and
choice.
Sound
Okay.
Choice, and yeah, and then there's like the New Age channel is called Soundscapes, and I
Mm-hmm.
put it on sometimes when I'm cooking, and then like it's usually pretty cheesy, but then occasionally something really legit will come on, and then I have to walk over to the TV and I have to be like, okay, which one is this? And usually in those cases, it's somebody that I'm already familiar with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, like Stephen Roach or something. Like they'll play him on the Soundscapes New Age channel, and it's supposed to just be background music for when you're cooking, but it's actually like super deep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I've. It's funny. We were talking about our own stuff and being like, that these certain parameters. I mean, if I remember, we were kind of bonding on some like this vibe of that, like we both are like really deep on like melody and harmony, and that like timbre has come second in a
Mm.
way. Did I say that right? Because I
Yeah,
feel that way, and I feel like you were also saying that.
it was like that for me for a long time, but it's not like that anymore.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it's a big thing for you. You've like caught up
Right.
and gone beyond, like getting the timbre, like made up for lost time with the timbre to the point now where it's like you're like on that new age vibe
Oh,
of like really having the timbre dialed in.
oh, that's cool. That's a
But
cool
that
observation. I'll accept that. Thank you.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just sort of observing because we both were kind of like, yeah, we were talking about how like melody and harmony, like
Hmm.
we tend to compose from that standpoint first, right? I
Yeah,
mean, that
yeah.
would be the material. Whereas like a lot of people do. I mean, a lot of people who maybe even end up making deep music will actually like plug in some new pedals and come up with material based on the
Hmm.
sound first. You know what I mean? It's just like so alien to me to do that.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I think I kind of want to write that way more nowadays. Like I was even just thinking for some stuff because I've been playing with Bloodmist a lot, and it's like lots of timbre involved, and no writing at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So, sometimes we just start playing, and I'm like, man, this is such a cool sound. And sometimes I just wish that I could save the sound and write something with it.
Right.
Of course, it's just not really possible because with Blood Mist, I can just never get the same sound again. Um, so it's like, but I was thinking like maybe I'll just sit around at home and record myself just playing around with timbres and then just come up with some seeds of music that way. I thought that might be a
Yeah,
cool thing to try, which I've never really done it that way before.
yeah. Just
Um,
like deciding a new approach or like,
yeah, but in the
yeah,
past, for sure, it was like, yeah, the only thing that mattered was the writing, and then it was just like, yeah, any guitar is fine, any amp is fine, as long as you're playing the notes,
I know.
it's fine. But like, of course, like it sounded not good.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I got burnt. I mean, no genre is more. Uh, in no genre do people fall victim to that. The sentence construction is fucked up. Jazz is very like that. Like
Yeah.
when you come out of jazz, you study jazz, learn jazz, jazz teachers, people hipping you to how to play it. Timbre tone is just maybe with saxophones or whatever, but with guitar, yeah, people don't ever tell you to get your tone together.
Oh,
And so people just plug into the amp and play notes, and all people are thinking about notes.
oh, really?
It's too much. I mean, it's really
Hmm.
far in that direction. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, even as stuff like in my band, we had let's say there was like clarinet on stage, and before the days that we actually had a clip-on mic, and it was just like trying to have a clarinet on stage and then 3 guitars, and then just not really spending the time to like figure out if that actually sounded good or not.
Yeah.
You know, in a live situation, that is, and you know, because it was just like, well, if he's playing the part, then
dude,
then it's there. That's not true. It doesn't work that way.
You're bringing me back to early, not as early as I'd like to think, stuff where it's just like just stuff like that, just misled orchestration stuff that just comes from nothing but the practical realities of sound. You know, writing for other instruments, not being aware that the timbre is going to be totally different when you play the lowest note on the oboe versus the highest. They're totally different sounds. Like, it's not just like, oh, you assign notes to an instrument and then it works. You know, it's like not how it is. But
yeah, I definitely try to focus on it now.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing though. It's like, you know, if sometimes when you start like, like different. Like you make music for like years, decades, and these different parameters like go forward and to the side and like interact, you know, and you just like, wait, I wasn't even dealing with XYZ, and then it's like now you're like, you know, like all about it and shit. Would you focus? They're talking about Vaporwave in the chat. I mean, that's one of those things. Like, was that ever an important thing to you? I mean, that's like,
oh no, I'm too old for that.
Yeah, I know. See, that's the thing.
But
like, you know,
But I do have to say that, like, because wait, what are they saying about Vaporwave? Well, I know that Fire Tools. No, actually, I think I saw a video by her where she was like, "I'm not Vaporwave." I don't know. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Well, she but she, I think doesn't like people like calling, you know, putting her in the Vaporwave thing. But I think she's very much influenced by Vaporwave along with a million other things.
I was gonna say that I thought that she had like a heavy Vaporwave influence, but then I remember seeing a short video that she made where she kind of was just like, "Don't call me that."
Well, that's what everyone. Yeah, that's like me saying, "Don't call me prog." I mean, people hate what they are, you know.
Okay.
So it's like, like she's Vaporwave, we're prog. Look, it's face reality. But yeah.
Okay. So I'm a little too old for the Vaporwave thing, but I know that people were talking about hyperpop in the past couple of years. And I have to make it known that like the Kayo Dot record Plastic House on Base of Sky that came out in 2016 but was created in 2015 is like one of the first hyperpop records.
Oh shit, you heard it here first, or maybe not first. Okay.
You know, like that's like all hyperpop is kind of just taking its influence from Plastic House and Base of Sky.
Okay, I gotta I got to investigate more hyperpop and see how that connects with Phobos. Yeah, man. It's funny. Like, I mean, I'm too old for Vaporwave too, but I'm on such a like, you know, how do you do fellow kids vibe the past 5 years, like just full on.
Yeah.
Just Steve Buscemi with the skateboard. I'm like, so I've been, you know, marinating in that stuff. Well, do you okay, on the topic of kind of new agey stuff, early 10s, one of the reasons I don't like Vaporwave is just because it reminds me of the last decade, which was the worst decade in human history by far. Like, just should not have happened. But I've come to really love One Tricks Point Never, who I didn't check out at first because that whole chill wave kind of thing or whatever that was annoyed me sort of. But then when I finally checked out One Tricks, I was like, no, this guy is deep. Like, I don't know. Yeah, he's sick.
Oh, yeah. He's super awesome. Yeah.
He's Vaporwave, right? Or
no way. I wouldn't say so.
I think he is. Yo, in the chat, tell us, people, younger people, tell us is One Tricks Vaporwave? I mean, I thought it was kind of like that. I mean, people who love Vaporwave love One Tricks. That's for sure.
Yeah, but he's also old. He's older than me. So
he is.
I think so. Maybe he's either the same age as me or 1 year older than me. I think.
I think he's like generally in our general age
range.
Yeah. But he, like, I don't know.
So I just like, I mean, Vaporwave is kind of like for people that are 10 years younger. I think that's just kind of like when it started to be a thing. And I mean, like, not to really just nag anything, but like I just think that people that were more our age, it was one of those genres where you would hear it and you'd be like, this is pretty shitty music, just like generally, because vaporwave, at least my understanding of vaporwave is that it was kind of intrinsically tied to its YouTube presence also.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and so
With those '80s looking spacey things, and
exactly, yeah. And so
yeah,
it was almost like created specifically to be kitsch. And
yes, yes,
it was also my experience with listening to vaporwave was that it was also like part of the aesthetic was that it was recorded really shittily. You know what I mean? Like if you could imagine like PM Dawn, for example, if PM Dawn was the kind of like proto vaporwave aesthetic,
yeah. But
then it's PM Dawn is like a major label band, so it sounds amazing.
yeah,
And then
but
if you take that and then you like reduce it to like home recording and then put it on YouTube and have these shitty drum sounds, then it's like that's kind of like what my perspective.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like
of it was.
lo-fi. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
lo-fi PM Dawn kind of, Yeah,
yeah.
but I mean, like new age wise, like those. I think that music is kind of those folks are kind of interested in new age. I mean, I think it's like ironic new age music,
Well,
almost, or like nostalgia. Like a lot of
sure.
that music is about nostalgia for like
Yeah,
80s, 90s, and it's supposed to have that hazy, like gauzy kind of
yeah. So
thing,
I said PM Dawn, but I also should have said Deep Forest or Enigma, but Deep
Yes,
Forest in
Enigma, yeah.
particular. Like the 1990, 1991 sort of new age, but sort of trip hop shit that became popular. PM Dawn was one of those. Um, and yeah, I guess I would say the three that come to mind are PM Dawn, Deep Forest, and Enigma, and then that's vaporwave, or at least that's like what became the
Yeah.
vaporwave aesthetic.
Yeah, with the warbly, yeah.
Yeah,
But it's like I don't know, new age music is hopeful, right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, the general vibe is like spirituality, hope, the
yeah,
world.
it kind of has to be, and that's why maybe Dead Can Dance couldn't really be a
Yeah.
new age band, because it has to be about healing and all the kind of ethos of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, yeah. Cuz I mean, to me vaporwave is like really negative actually. I mean, I don't know if it's meant that way, but I don't mean negative like it sucks or something, but that it's like to me that shit is like dark actually. Like it's like the end of history. It's
Yeah,
like being trapped in like the permanent shopping mall, Mark
exactly.
Fisher's, the slow cancellation of the future, looking back because there is no future.
It's
The
also got
the
that
80s.
sound. It's also got that. It makes me feel like, when you're at a party and it got too late and like almost everybody left, but you're still kind of like you're too high to like
Oh
the
no.
party can't end for you because you're too fucked up, but the
Uh,
party's definitely over,
yeah.
um, but not for you. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah. No,
it's
no,
like
yeah. Yeah, you're not going to
yeah,
be able to get to sleep and stuff. Yeah.
it's like that. Yeah, it's like too late. Yeah, yeah. That's how it makes
Also,
me.
that internet vibe. It's I always think of those like that digital landscape thing, and then like marble busts, like the sort of fashy like marble bust like vibe. You know what I'm talking about?
Um,
You're not as like internet poisoned as I am. It's like,
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so.
yeah. Well, worst decade in human history. So maybe we can just let it die. But it's like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't hate vaporwave. It does seem there's a like sonically there's overlaps with new age, but like spiritually it's like the fucking opposite.
I think it sonically overlaps with New Age because Enigma and Deep Forest and PM Dawn were supposed to be like New Age, and
Right.
then because they had beats, they ended up on MTV because then they had like then trip hop was new at the
That makes
time.
sense. Yeah.
So because those are like the kind of Venn diagram New Age trip hop bands, then when Vaporwave takes it, it's kind of like it's like the copy of the copy of the copy.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like a really low resolution
Yeah.
version of New Age.
That's the warbly. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
warbly thing. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Samantha says there was an attempt at conservative vaporwave explicitly. Yeah, it's looking backward, it's not looking forward, if you have like the it's just yeah, are you looking back to 1991 Echo the Dolphin, or are you looking back to like, ancient Greece or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um like
Oh yeah.
yeah. Um I think it's probably good that we've sort of departed from Jane's because yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm interested in this whole like new age side. I have to spend cloud rap and vaporwave. Yeah, he's talking about. Oh yeah, you love Friend Zone, Senum. Yeah, I saw Dylan from Friend Zone is a homie of mine. I just saw him recently. He does cool stuff, man. In general, he's yeah. What else do we have in the chat? Let's see. Do we have any questions? Who's got questions for us? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Vaporwave, marble busts, looking backwards. um, what do you have? What do you have going on like coming up, man? Do you want to? I mean, like KO wise. I mean, we're about to. I don't know. I mean, we're doing this Extra Life tour, which is going to be sick, and then you've got Kayo Dot touring next year.
Well, we didn't announce that yet, but yeah, we can talk about it now. I mean, yeah,
sorry, bro.
It's okay. It's the 20th anniversary of Kayo Dot next year, and so I want to do some stuff to celebrate the anniversary. And I just, just because of the way that the band kind of, well, we were on that tour together that I canceled, and Ron was like pretty unhappy and everything, and just just generally speaking, the kind of like last go around of the band was depressing. even though like I was happy with the record and everything, and like people like the record, like, so it doesn't really have anything to do with that. It just has to do with the circumstances are pretty depressing, and I also had to move out of New York City at the time, and everything, and so it was just like it was just kind of depressing in general, but just circumstantially speaking. And so we had been around when we were on that last tour together, me and you. Kayo Dot had been around 17 years at that time, and you saw what it was like out there. And I think I was just generally feeling like, it'd be cool to do anniversary stuff, but I'm not going to have the anniversary be like, yeah, it's been 20 years and we're still playing the exact same venues that we played 20 years ago. So
you're so candid about this shit, man.
Yeah, man.
You don't want to just like lie about what's happening. Just at least spin it. You know what I mean? It's like...
So in any case, I I said to the guys in the band, I was like, let's just not do anything until people care enough to be able to do better shows and better venues and and shit like that. And I worked for the past couple of years in trying to get a booking agent. Because that last tour was self-booked, and I haven't had any luck getting a booking agent, and in the U.S. anyway, like just denials or like being ignored everywhere. So we're not going to do it in the U.S. because I'm not going to self-book a bar tour. And
it's so funny. I've been out of the game so long. Or with touring, I'm down. I'm so easily like that tour that we did. I was just like, this is the most fun thing ever.
Oh no, man!
This for months.
I would
tiny ass shows. I was like, hell yeah, dude.
I would do it with another band. I just wouldn't do it with a band that's been around for 20 years.
I feel you, man. I feel you.
And then I tried really hard to get a European one. And I finally did get a European booking agent who's trying to hook up some stuff for us.
Tight. So who's booking it, or is this?
That agency is called Atonal Agency. They do a bunch of prog metal bands like Between the Buried and Me and stuff like that.
Okay. Word.
So so he's working on doing a tour for us right after the Extra Life tour. And
sick, man.
Yeah, and if we do that, it'll be a Choirs of the Eye reunion tour.
Yes.
So it's going to be like the old band, like Sam, Taryn, Greg,
Oh, Mia or no?
Well, no, she can't play, but Timba's going to fill in for her.
Yeah.
And so it'll be like the original lineup,
Yeah, wild, dude. Well, you know what I would recommend, man? Breaking up Kayo Dot for 10 years and then coming back.
Well, totally.
Doesn't guarantee hugeness, but it'll be up from the last tour that you did.
Yeah, it could be like what Swans is. But I was still under contract to Prophecy, and they were being really, really supportive. And so like they like give me a budget to do a record, and they like the band and they are cool. So it's like, why why bail on them, you know?
No, of
And
course.
also,
I'm joking. I mean, don't ever stop doing Kayo. But it's like that's just on some like, you know, we've all had these thoughts of like, what if I did this? Like just like crazy moves, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, I also really enjoy playing and writing loud music. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and I've been doing so much quiet music lately, especially like with you know, not living in the city and just not being able to really play in a band and doing stuff in my home studio and everything like that.
Yeah.
You know, I play quiet music a lot, but I hardly ever get a chance to play loud with a band anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so I really miss it, and I just really just want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's you know, then you play loud. Well, this you know, the venues have to be better when you play loud stuff because you need sound.
Totally.
You need the
Yeah.
sound to be good. So it's way more depressing. That's the thing. Like
Hmm.
playing solo. I do these solo acoustic sets that are like, you know, like I don't even have a record of it. It's just me doing like, you know, songs from like my whole songbook. Like I'll do that shit anywhere, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but that's you know, that's different than bringing a whole band
Yeah. Yeah.
all over the place. Yeah, dude, what if we only do Europe forever? Like what I mean, it's like cuz Extra Life, I'm like, dude, I mean, it seems insane to not have Extra Life at least play New York. But I'm
Hmm.
like, I don't know, man. Like dragging Gilles, like Gilles like, "Oh, I want to play America." I'm like, "I don't know if you do, man." Because like, you know, like
Well, it seems to me like the industry, the live music industry, has changed to the point where um, the festivals are the most important thing, and then you have to build everything around a cool festival date. And it's like if you don't have a cool festival, then you basically don't have a viable tour.
yeah.
And there are a couple of cool festivals in the U.S. that are happening now, so that's like a kind of realistic perspective to see if you can get into like Oblivion Access and then do a little tour around that, or Psycho Las Vegas or something. But
Yeah, Psycho would be, yeah.
yeah, but that's totally different than just going out and being like, okay, we're gonna go from Boston to Minneapolis and then
Dude,
you know
this
to
is
Salt Lake City and then back in. It's just
I know it's like, but what's annoying is that like there are enough people hitting me up being like, you know, Extra Life's back. Like you got to come to so and so. Come to so. It's like there's enough that it's like I want to do it, but like it's just not quite enough. Like you know, like just literally money wise. I mean, you know, it's
Yeah.
like I'm like, okay, you cats want to see us. Would you pay like $25 to see an extra? You should actually, but
Yeah.
you know,
No, yeah, I mean like the price of everything else went up, so I
right.
mean it's just like the price of our fee has to just go up to accommodate the gas even,
No, for real.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, you know, like I really like touring a lot. And I like doing like DIY tours. It's just like I said, it's like if you're a band that's been around for 20 years, you kind of have to say, you know, we've kind of earned something a little bit above just playing at you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, totally.
Dude, like
Totally.
like on the last Kayo Dot tour, the one that not the one that Psalm Zero and Kayo Dot did get together, but the one before that we did in like the fall of 2019.
Yeah.
That one was booked by a booking agent, and he did such a disrespectful job, you know, and like he basically booked us at like some venues that were so shitty that that like when we showed up, I had to like rewire the stage, and I spent like hours just like cleaning up all the cables and then rewiring the snake and everything like that because the sound guy that was there didn't know what to do, or there was no sound guy. And
I know,
Philip can
man.
tell you if he's still in here, like we did one though, yeah, the one in San Diego was like that, and then there was one that we did in Kentucky that was just in this it was like a DIY hangout space for kids, which I have no problem with, but like it was like the PA was just like this tiny ass like there was like
yeah.
2 XLR cables, you know what I mean? It was
Well,
just like
this is the thing. These booking agents, they don't have to go on the tour, so
but
it's like
but the
there's like
booking
no
agent,
stakes. There's just no stakes for them. You
but
know?
dude, the booking agent like is a guy that's like in a band that tours all the time. It's just that his band, I guess, can play at a place like that, and just
Yeah.
didn't really take into account like the technical needs. And it was just, you know, it's like you go on a tour like that and you're like, fuck, man, like I've been touring for with this particular band for
Yeah,
17,
yeah.
18 years, and I'm
Uh,
having to like wire the stage myself.
yeah,
You know,
man.
like
It's
fuck that shit.
yeah. Well, the thing, the thing about both our bands is that like they're not great opening acts.
Yeah,
Like just as far as like you want like a solo act,
yeah,
a weird duo, like a thing where like there's like a bunch of people on stage and they're playing like 10-minute songs that just like sap your energy,
mm,
like Extra Life, like that's not a great like. I mean, I would like to see Extra Life, but you know what I'm saying. It's kind of like it's like headlinery shit,
mm.
so it makes
Yeah.
it
You need a
hard.
sound check at least or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, just like the type of attention that it demands of people. It's like weird. Like I'm not surprised that Extra Life doesn't get a ton of or didn't get a ton of offers to be like, oh yeah, hop on this tour, yeah, hop on that, hop on that. It's like not,
Yeah.
it's like not as fun for the opening band. Like you want like the solo person doing some knobs, like
I know. Yeah.
like it's just
They
too
and they
weird for
also
everyone.
like they want people with no drum sets, and then like
Exactly.
the blasphemy lineup for Kayo Dot was two
It's
drum
like
sets.
two
It's like,
drums. Yeah,
yeah, like nobody's gonna have us open.
yeah. No, even if they love the music, it's just kind
Yeah,
of it's just not the best. So it's like,
yeah.
I mean, it can be hard to because I mean, when you're like I don't think it's undignified if you've been around for like 17, 20 years. I don't think it's undignified to be doing opening slots. Maybe the money's not what you hoped, but you're like opening for you open for Paul Bearer and stuff. I mean, that kind of stuff like is. I think that's totally dignified. At
Yeah.
least seems like it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was cool. It was cool to open for Paul Bearer for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see how this. It'll be interesting to see how this Extra Life tour goes, man. I don't
Oh yeah.
have a clear set. I mean, I know it's going to be like worth going on, and we're going to have fun,
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's going to be just like, oh, cool, yeah, Extra Life's back, or if it's going to just be like, oh shit, like really, just as far
Uh,
as turnouts, merch sale. Like I don't.
for me, man, it'll be so fun just because I like playing with you and Timba, and the music is high level, but also I love being a bass sideman. Like I hardly have to do anything.
I know, right? I'm so easy to work with. I'm easy to work with, right?
It's just like
It's chill, right?
it's so
Yeah.
awesome to like not have to bring a million keyboards, and to um not have to like tour manage and drive, and like just
Yeah.
all of that shit that I have to do with my own bands. If I just show up and I just rock on the bass,
I love
it's
that kind of
fucking
stuff.
awesome. Yeah.
I love doing sideman stuff. The thing, I mean, I think people don't ask me to do it. Maybe they think I'm not interested. Like
Yeah.
it's fun to just I get burnt out on my ego and the organizing skills and all the stuff. Yeah, man. Just
Yeah, I really like doing it. Yeah, it's the same with me. I feel like people don't ask me because they probably think I'm too wrapped up in my own shit,
yeah,
um but I really love playing bass on tour.
yeah. Just being a player, man.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
what
especially when
are
it's loud.
yes. What are you into? I like playing bass when it's loud. This is where we're at. But see, this is the thing. This is why you're never gonna. It doesn't matter how discouraging any facet of musical life go. I mean, it's like we end up just coming back to just like boneheaded shit. Like just like I like to rock. Like it really is that,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like ultimately, like
Yeah.
there's all these like bells and whistles on it, and like ambitions and high-minded shit, but.
Yeah.
I mean, thing is, you also could, and you shouldn't, and you're not going to, but like to, just give up, just be like, I don't tour anymore. I'm a composer guy.
Oh, no, no,
I
no, no,
just,
no.
I apply for grants. I do
No way,
fellowship,
man.
residency.
I actually like had that reckoning during the pandemic because nobody was touring or anything, and I was like home, and I could record as much as I wanted to, and I was like, dude, and I was getting like a pandemic unemployment money, so it was like everything was great. And I was like, yeah, I have time to record and write, and I have like pandemic money, so I can kind of upgrade my studio with a little bit of new shit. And I was like, maybe this is the life. Maybe I can just stay here and just record, like Colin does or something.
Yeah.
Just make like a record every month. But yeah, then I realized after some months, after a year, whatever, that I hadn't played with anyone, and it was really something missing.
Oh, dude,
And
it's
yeah,
grim. It's
Yeah,
grim.
yeah.
It's
I don't
it's
think I
it's
can.
it's
Yeah,
eroded my self-esteem, my sense of myself in the world. Like I feel like a non-entity. It's like impacting my like relationship. Like it's
yeah,
so uncool, man.
yeah, yeah,
Not playing shows.
yeah.
Even before pandemic, I wasn't on the live thing enough, man. I mean, Extra Life played so much, so many gigs and tours, man. And then with Psalm Zero and all the stuff in my 30s, we were like supposed to do all these tours, but for reasons you can probably imagine,
Mm,
they either, they like
yeah,
didn't happen or people didn't want us,
yeah.
blah blah blah. It's like I ended up not touring that much in my 30s. It's like I'm like I was just right on that tour with you. The Psalm Zero Kayo Dot tour was like that's why I was so hyped about that, because I hadn't been doing tours in general for a few years. I was just
Yeah,
like I was just like, I don't care how many people are there. I'm like pumped, but it's like, and then that got
yeah, yeah,
castrated,
yeah. No, no. I mean, generally, I had a good time. The band sounded awesome,
right?
but just like nobody saw it.
There was some,
Unfortunately.
I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know. Juan came out. We'll drive to
That's
Miami
true.
to play for Juan.
Juan saw it.
It's
That's true.
like,
I actually can't remember, but was that Boston show we did? Was Psalm Zero on that one too?
um,
It
Boston.
was at the Hong Kong. It was like 3 floors up. We had to carry all the gear upstairs.
No. That
No.
wasn't on our
Oh,
tour. I don't think. No, because we went south. Or no, we went. What did we do? We went to Binghamton. We went north. I can't remember what we did. I remember we
mm,
mostly went south.
okay.
But
Yeah. The
yeah.
Boston one was another one of those venues where I had to kind of like wire shit and there was no PA. And yeah, it was a terrible, terrible, terrible show.
It's so
Yeah.
funny, man. I remember on like the first or second Extra Life tour, so I was like 28. I remember sleeping on a couch and being like, dude, I can't believe I'm still sleeping on a couch at 28. I was like all like indignant and shit. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. No, I generally don't mind
time
that
for
kind of thing.
some perspective. I mean, the thing that's annoying about touring though is just yeah, booking it yourself. See, the thing is, I like booking it myself. I just don't like how much time it takes. But like the
Oh,
actual experience of doing it, I kind of dig the game like aspect, of
yeah.
like finding the dates and the drives and like who can, help me out, and like
Hmm.
just
Yeah.
all of the it actually is a fun game, but it just takes so much time. That's what kills me. And then I'm just
Yeah.
realized like, dude, I just spent like a week being a bureaucrat, like
You could
instead of like,
you could have a better show too because you have a relationship with the person setting up the show before you go in there,
yeah.
and that's cool. Um, yeah.
I mean, to me, booking agents are just like labels. I mean, I always want to work with booking agents and labels if they're so much bigger than I am
Right.
that they can put in no effort and still hook me up better
Right.
than I could hook myself up. I'm just gonna assume that anyone's gonna put in like not a ton of effort,
Right.
and like hopefully
Exactly.
they're so hooked up that they don't have to. Although,
Exactly.
man, in Europe, Extra Life, we worked Paper and Iron. They're big and put in effort, and so it was just, I mean, it's just so hooked up. But
Yeah.
can't, things. There's ups and downs in showbiz. I keep saying that phrase.
I'm still waiting for the ups.
Dude, you've been on the up, man. You've been on the up. Just
Yeah, I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I mean, there's, could do like Jane's did, man. Just, break the band up after 6 years, 5 years. I mean, you could just keep breaking up Kayo Dot. I mean, that's the thing, like quote unquote, and it's really actually like you just take 3 years off.
Yeah.
You
Three
know?
years. 3 years is kind of an average amount of time between some people's records, anyway.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Yeah.
But yeah. I do you I remember I ran into Kelly Moran one time at St. Vitus, and this was like right when we were working on Blasphemy, and she was pretty high. She had smoked weed, so she was like kind of stoned, and
Yeah.
and I saw her, and she's like, what are you doing now? And I was like, yeah, we're gonna new Kayo Dot record. And she goes, that's so cool. Kayo Dot just never ends.
Never ends.
And I was like, yeah, she's like, Kayo Dot just keeps going. And I was like, oh man, like I don't know if like I should feel weird about that or not? You know, like, because does that mean that like I don't know when to like hang it up or something? You know, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
don't know. Maybe that was a neg. You know, I don't
it,
know.
maybe it was, but I don't know
Yeah, yeah,
because she was a fan. So
yeah. No,
um,
she totally remains a fan. So I don't know.
yeah, but
Maybe she was delighted. You know.
no, yeah, it was just funny. It made me feel a little self conscious, but I am really happy with the work that I've been doing lately. I think it's like the best. So
Dude, yeah,
um, so it's
yeah.
like
Big time, man.
it's definitely not time to end it. It's like I got a lot of cool ideas.
Hell yeah, man. Hell
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's like, and I mean, Kayo Dot is, it's a particular. I mean, you've described it to me how it's like. It's interesting because I think because it's all your stuff, it's all your compositions, and there's been lineup changes. I think maybe a lot of like you could view it as like, oh, that's just a moniker for you, but it isn't because you've described it to me as like, no, there's like a certain compositional type of thing you're doing, and that the solo stuff
Mm.
is different. Like the solo stuff under your own name is a different project. So it's Kayo
Yeah.
Dot is pretty defined as an avenue,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
even even with
And
all the variety.
the music is always written for who's ever playing in it at the time too. So it's like, it's like that band.
Yeah.
Um, even if it's just for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's always like, on the more complex side of your stuff, right? And like the ambitious side, and there's loud in there, right? I mean, that's a
Sure.
big part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like epic and prog. And I collaborate with Jason Byron on Kayo Dot. He's the lyrics writer.
Yeah.
So he's like a pretty crucial part of the aesthetic of Kayo Dot.
Yeah.
Maybe not the sonic aesthetic, but definitely like thematically. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's a band.
Well,
It's a band.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I totally wait. Who is? No, I'm like turning this off here. I Yeah, I always think of the lyrics as being a big part of Kayo Dot, and I always forget that he writes all the lyrics. Like I always forget that. So then when you're like, yeah, I don't do lyrics. It's like, I mean, that's really I don't know any other band or I don't know anyone else who's doing it that way. I mean, that's sick.
Cool.
I've considered having, well, I've never considered having someone that I know who is. What is that sound?
It's a dog, right?
No, there's other windows doing those little dopamine sounds. What was I going to say? Yeah. I've never thought about having like a peer or a friend write lyrics for me. I mean, but I've considered setting texts from like I don't know Heraclitus or something.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. It's like sick if it's someone who's like quote unquote in the band, kind of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We've been collaborating for decades now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Elton John does that. His lyric writer Bernie Taupin.
Oh, is that who Bernie Taupin is?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't even know that. I'm not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of Elton John. I like Billy Joel better than Elton John. What do you think of that?
I like Billy Joel's writing usually better. Yeah. But man, Elton John's voice when he was younger, man, his voice was so amazing.
Yeah.
You ever listen to like his young person voice? It's
I don't remember
incredible.
what songs those are. Which are the or is it like not even hits? It's like before hits or something.
That one. It's like sacrifice into sacrifice.
Oh, right. That's right. I actually didn't even know that that's Elton John, and that weird.
Right, because his voice is so amazing and different. Yeah. I recommend people check that song out because it's like you're like, what? This is Elton John. Amazing. Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Well, getting to dude. Speaking of the occult, Byron.
Yeah.
Dude, what the fuck is up with Current 93, dude? No, I don't mean how great they are. I mean these gigs. I
Why? What happened?
I saw on his Instagram, not even an announcement, but like in a comment on a thing, he said that they're being rescheduled.
Are you fucking kidding me?
I was livid, man.
Wait, really, man?
I bought plane tickets. So did everyone, So, but then I'm not seeing an announcement about it. TicketWeb says it's still happening, so I'm like, I don't know,
Oh man, that's
dude.
I've been holding my ticket for 4 years.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It just keeps getting, dude. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Um,
Hmm. Yeah, damn. Maybe I can ask their booker is the guy that runs House of Mythology, who put out the Allure Crucible record.
oh
So
no, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's like the same, like the guy Mark Lewis is his name. He runs House of Mythology with Christopher Rigg, and he has this booking agency called Mythology Agency, and they book Current 93, and they booked the show in New York. So maybe I could just get some insider info or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, man. What? Because also it's like I'm not really like psyched to even go to New York. I mean, I miss New York more than anything to move back, but like visiting New York when I don't live there is just like I don't like.
It'll be Halloween weekend too, so you'll see a lot of like people walking around and
stabbings is what I'm gonna see. But yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't know if I need that. But yeah, man. Well, yeah, you wanna? It feels like we're getting to that
yeah,
lull, or not lull, but it could be a something we could treat as a little, denouement or whatever.
sure.
What do you?
Yeah. Oh, I also wanted to tell you. Speaking of Allure Crucible and what I'm working on, do you see this? Do you see this instrument here?
No, I thought that was a mixing desk.
No, that's my hammered dulcimer.
Oh yeah.
So I've been spending all my time practicing that and working on a new solo record with that as the primary thing.
Hell yeah, I forgot about that.
It's like the most joyful thing in my life. It's so amazing to have this beautiful acoustic instrument and not have to plug anything in. It's just so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just detaching.
Yeah.
Josh asked, you two played together before. We've I think. Wait, is this the first time we're playing? I mean, Toby's just playing bass in the new Extra Life, and then I toured, and then Psalm Zero went on tour with Kayo Dot right before COVID. But this is the only time we played together, right?
Yeah.
We haven't. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Word. Well, dude, thank you so much.
Yeah.
For coming by. Obviously, we're gonna be seeing plenty of each other.
Yeah.
And so it's good to do this before that, because after the tour, you're gonna be like, I don't want to talk to this guy anymore.
Yeah, this was really fun. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, great to go deep on Jane's. Yeah, there's no plugs, right? Nothing for you to plug. You just kind of the dulcimer.
I mean,
the accidentally announced shit that whatever.
I have a lot of stuff out there that could be purchased, by anybody. It's all out there.
Yeah. I mean, probably everyone. I think probably everyone in the chat is like, probably has like every Kayo Dot thing, from the beginning. Yeah, I know it would be cool to come to Toronto, Josh. I love Toronto. Yeah, at some point we'll do it.
Yeah, maybe I can plug one thing actually. Bloodmist is playing in Poland in a couple weeks. I don't know if most people know that, but we're playing in the town of Bydgoszcz at a festival called Mózg, and then we're playing in Warsaw at just our own show the day after that, September 10th and 11th.
Tight.
Yeah, those are the only shows. So if people are around that place, they want to come.
Polls, come check it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's funny when I interviewed Jim Thirlwell a year ago, and he like leaked on the thing that the Extra Life was coming back. I was like, but I don't think it didn't get around. But I mean, a lot of people watched that interview.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Much love, great hang, and I'll be badgering you with text about this tour like in probably like 20 minutes from now.
Cool.
So, there we go. Right.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah.
All right, peace.
All right, have a good night.
Yeah, you too, man.